All right. So we're going to be talking about the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, aka Milk. It's nothing to do with them milking us, by the way. It's just the abbreviation, just something in my Australian brain just reads it as milk. Anyway, let's talk about this. Now, while we're talking, I'm just queued up for a match, so we might be able to get some actual gameplay in here. Which was one of the sort of issues I have, which is the fact that we're just struggling to find matches. This is a problem, because the longer we wait for the online arcade, the longer more and more people will just check out. Nobody wants to sit here and look at a screen, right? And I really, really hope when the online arcade comes out, we're able to queue for stuff outside of the lobbies. Like we can just queue up all the games we want to fight in, go off and play the arcade, go off and check out the combatants, go watch the documentary, go fiddle our diddle, whatever the fuck, we want to do. I just really hope that, I really hope it turns it around, right? And it's been a rocky start. I was on a Mike Hollow stream today. Shout out to Mike. Thank you for the invite. Total MK was on there as well. Total MK was informing us about, he's been getting a lot of messages and seeing a lot of people complain about stuff that actually isn't worthy of complaining about. Or that people have forgotten a thing was a certain way in these old games. And that sort of stuff is that's just noise. That sort of shit doesn't help in getting this game to where it is. Both Total and myself have always called out this sort of shit, as does Mike, in regards to making sure that they are fully aware of what's going on. Because we want MK to be great. We want this collection to be great. We want it to be something that every single day, whether we're playing offline or not, we load it up and we go, you know what? If I decide to jump online, I know it's solid. And if I've had enough online, but I'm not done with some MK, I know I can jump offline and do some other stuff as well. Obviously, things like not having things like Gold in there, N64 Trilogy, Mega CD, MK1, these are some big heavy hitters that hopefully down the track we'll get some DLC for. Personally, not having Gold in there was a massively missed opportunity because it bookends the entire 2D legacy. It gives us the animated biographies, the animated endings, which was very cool from MK4, PS1, and PC. And then it's also being made available to people that missed out through either not owning the console or being able to play on emulation. Sometimes you can have just one or two things that can be enough to kind of spoil it. Now, I have been looking forward to this for a long time, as of many other, especially OG people. And when I have found some matches, and at least online, if the matches are good, they're good, right? But there has been a lot of issues since launch. It's almost like they had very little time to do any sort of testing, proper testing with this thing. Not just the online stuff, offline things, everything from input lag, glitches. Total MK explained in the stream about how we're getting the actual glitch that I showcased in a video for the MK4 one, where it was just flashing everywhere and giving people seizures, which is terrible, right? He explained why that's actually happening, which is another reason why people need to go check out Total, because he's very, very good with that sort of stuff as well. Very technical, and he understands a lot of that stuff. And so, when you're complaining about the color of a fucking door, or oh, I don't remember the stage being like this, that's a you problem, right? They didn't change it, okay? But if there are actual issues, crashes, input lag, glitches, wrong move lists, things that seem to be activated in other games but not in others, a whole host of things that if you go to the official Digital Eclipse Discord server, there's actually a section filled to the brim of all the issues that people are having and or discovering. That's why that's there, which is great. And if you do find something and you want to share it, I've been sharing shit that I've been having issues on there. Go over there and post your stuff. But is this game, right? Let's see if we can find a MK2 match, because I tried Trilogy and it just wasn't having it. There we go. On arcade, we'll try arcade MK2. Is it all bad? No, obviously it's not all bad. I've already pointed out the things that I find positive. The vibe, of the game itself feels very classic MK. The music is fantastic. It's got a jukebox, missing mythologies, and I'd actually like Special Forces soundtrack in there as well. It does feel rushed, right? Which can sour the experience a little bit. And because I've been playing all of these games on emulation for a very long time, I know how these things feel, how they sound, stuff like that. So when I was playing Genesis MK1, I'm like, hang on a second, what the fuck is that, right? Now, Title said that he's got both revisions on his PC. I got both revisions on my PC. But the one I always load up isn't the... So normally I think it's listed as like Mortal Kombat in brackets world. Sometimes it might be listed as 1.1, but the ones I've got on PC are listed as in brackets world, right? So I normally would just load up the one that says Mortal Kombat, right? And this is the one that was primarily sold to most people. Now, maybe near the end there, they perhaps did some changes. Obviously changed the sound effect of Kano's knife hitting them. The sound effect that comes in when you actually go to perform the fatality. Very jarring for a lot of MK fans that played this one, right? Why am I talking about this, again? Because sometimes simple things like this can kind of piss me off about the rest of it, grains of sand eventually make a heap. And so that thing was like, man, I can't even fucking play the one that I grew up with. It's not about having, well, my version isn't, my game isn't in there. No, it's not even the right version that most people remember. And the documentary actually plays musically, and you can even see the fatality happen. They actually show Revision O, right? So it's little things like that, where from a personal perspective, I go, man, this is kind of shitting me. This is shitting me, right? And so, therefore, that can dilute my experience. Objectively, though, it doesn't mean to say that like the overall product is like in absolute shit shape. Like I said, the menus are fine, the music's fine, right? The documentary seems to be the only thing that seems to be the most less sort of like it's having the less amount of issues. I think somebody was telling me the other day that the documentary, oh yeah, that's right, Dragoon was telling me the documentary was actually playing up for him. The documentary seems to be the least problematic. And it seems kind of like everything else was kind of like, not so much an afterthought, almost like they didn't have time, right? Now, somebody comes to me and goes, well, what would you suggest for people? And I would be, just like, Mike was talking about, just, if he finds that the game has been fixed, and not through reviewers, because the reviewers for this game praise the shit out of it, right? I don't even think they played half the fucking games, let alone delve deep enough to find any actual major issues. It's just some dude or some chick going, oh yeah, I'll review it, whatever. Oh, cool, punch of games, love Mortal Kombat, woohoo, fatality, bro. Right, and that's it. That's it. That's all I got. Okay? Whereas MK fans like us, we're getting into the nitty fucking gritty. You know what I mean? Like, we are getting in. We're peeling back every layer to make sure and see where things are going and if they're correct. And so I hope, so here's where the hope comes in. Digital Eclipse, obviously and this was talked about in the podcast earlier too. They're very outspoken in terms of like replying to people, letting people know what's going on, pushing out patches, right? They're using Steam essentially as the test bed because Steam doesn't have any certification process. They can directly patch their own software without needing to go through anyone else, which is awesome. Unlike, say, the consoles where it takes a little bit, right? So, therefore, we, on the PC side of things, we have started to see actual improvements, even if it's small changes, in the positive direction. But I can tell you right now, the online arcade, like, we can all see it, and I've covered it on the channel, right? I covered Godly's gameplay on the channel, and it looks great. It looks really, really fucking good, man. But It's all about whether or not, it's going to come out in a fast enough time, and whether or not it's going to be stable. Yeah. So anyone that used to play Mortal Kombat with their friends and stuff, well, the easiest way to do that in this day and age is obviously getting online and playing with them. You don't have to physically be there anymore. You can load up Discord and your webcam's on and shit like that. You don't physically have to hang out with people because, as you get older, you got families, kids, all sorts of stuff going on. Or those of us that find it difficult to go out or travel a lot, such as myself, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to just jump in. And because we can't have that, for all us old MK fans wanting to jump in and just have some fun, it sucks. One of my best mates refunded the game, who's been an MK fan who used to compete, Dragoon, he used to compete on X-Band. So when that starts pushing people away, you have to start asking questions about, okay, how do we get them back? Now this is where I get sort of positive, because like, it's very disappointing and it's been a very rocky release for this collection. But given their behaviors and their responses and their patches and the frequency and the speed of these patches, I actually have a lot of hope that they will eventually fix this. Now, I know that they've done previous collections. Apparently the Street Fighter one is still in poor condition. I think I played fuck all on the Street Fighter 30th online, right? So this is where the hope comes in. And I was saying this to the guys on the podcast earlier, is that I own the game. They got my money and I'm going to hold their feet to the fire. I'm going to make sure that they fix it. MK's a big IP. If they fumble this, that will actually do serious damage to their reputation in this space. Right? I'm very happy that they do the documentary, the interactive documentary. That's fine. But the reality is, though, is that I didn't pay for the collection just to watch it. I paid for the collection to play it and engage with it and enjoy the games on there. Right? One thing could absolutely be done without the other. Right? And so while I'm very happy, like if we quickly look at all the games available offline, while I'm very happy that we actually have all of this in here, it's the very first time we've actually got home console versions brought up. Like, I'm very happy that these are all on here, yeah? Right? Obviously, like I said, some key missing ones, and that will really that'll round it out. Like my fucking OCD can't handle not seeing MK Gold in there, right? And I know I've seen some people go, oh, they never wanted it. No, they love MK Gold. But obviously there was a priority here and an urgency to get this particular collection out, probably like most people surmise, because of the what would you call it? The MK movie that was going to come out. And then the MK movie got shifted until next year. So it's like, well, we either like leave this as is, or we release it now. We release it next year, release it now. And then if you release it next year, yeah, you can probably get more done. You would have had more time to iron out issues and stuff like that. But I tell you what, man, like it's, when you, like, I think one of the Nintendo, I think, dudes said that everyone always remembers a bad release. Right? Everyone always remembers a bad release. And that's kind of what's happened here. Like I said, it's not everything. But like at the same time, it has sort of, done some tarnishing to their reputation. And while some of this stuff, like I said, has been patched, input issues, some of them seem to be addressed, move lists, offline fatalities, adding sort of additional options and things like that, and that's all very cool. There's still a bit of a road ahead, and part of that, well, let's call it the bridge, right? The bridge to get us onto the next part of the road is online arcade. We absolutely need it, and we kind of need it quickish, right? I know, like I said, like when I covered it, Godly was showcasing it. Looks like about 90% of it's done, if not more than that. Obviously, they've got to fix some placeholder titles and names and stuff like that. But ultimately, it looks like it's getting there. They're probably doing, well, not probably, I hope they are, doing testing right now. And so, you know, we'll, like, that will be the bridge to the next piece of road. What's the next piece of road? Well, outside of, like, general patches and maintenance, hopefully down the track, we start to hear rumblings of DLC, right? Because this is a legacy collection. They are missing some. And perhaps when they talk about things like licensing, which they haven't really gone into a lot of depth on, maybe it's because they haven't had enough time to figure out the licensing arrangement or anything like that. I find it strange, though, that, like, why would there be, like, I mean, maybe Eurocom, obviously, when it comes to things like MK4 and MK Gold, perhaps, but Eurocom doesn't exist anymore, right? Sega does, and clearly Sega are fine with their games being on here, hence the ports that they have. Same with Nintendo. Nintendo's got, I think Nintendo's pretty much got every version, except for MK4 on the Game Boy Color. That's not been added as yet, right? So, you know, I think, well, okay, so that's exciting. What I want to do is I want to go back to how it was pre-release, where all I could think about was this collection and get excited about what's going to come. And to get you through that, you keep working on patching the game. You keep working on or bring online arcade, and then, you know, online arcade's going to come with its own issues. Right? We know that. It's going to come with its own headaches. Okay? But at the very least, we can set up lobbies, we can jump in, we can play, and then they can primarily dedicate a lot of time to getting whichever part of the team is dedicated to fixing that. And then I hope after we get over that bridge, we start to get rumblings of DLC. Right? Because that will be very exciting. Because a lot of us can probably guess what that could be. But it is in a very rocky state. I would recommend to people, if they ask me, should I buy it now or not? Honestly, it's really up to you. Like, I mean, I don't really like to tell people what to do with their money. Because, like, you know, if they're perfectly fine playing most of these offline, and I like playing them offline too, so I can get that point of view. So that's fine. You know, if you find that there's money that you find that's to be had and enjoyment to that, do it. If you are very much excited about wanting to play online, I would, well, there's only quick play, right? Oh, sorry, quick match. And you literally just choose your game and just sit here and look at a screen. That's it. Right? So that's a lot of problems too. Okay? And that will mean that, like, while you love those MK games, maybe you've been waiting a long time just to jump on and play with your mates and have some fun. You know? And so to that I'd say, look, the game's not going to just suddenly delist. Just wait. Keep an eye on content creators and news sites that you can trust. Wait for their feedback, and then see where you go. Alright? But it's not going anywhere. Like, the MK collection isn't going anywhere. I know someone, I think, on Mike's podcast was worrying about, you know, oh, you know, if this fails, we're never going to get any more MK. Well, again, like, I think most people have a computer of some description. You can play these games, and you can play these games online, right? So it's not the reason why I support this is because it's an official capacity, right? I would like to load this up instead of Fightcade every day. Yeah, this is far more exciting to me visually and accessibility wise than Fightcade, because Fightcade is just a giant fucking chat room, you know, and there's no quick match. You've got to click on someone and challenge them and hope that they accept, or vice versa, right? Whereas in this, it's kind of like, it takes that little bit of a headache out of the equation, so that way you can just queue up for stuff and maybe go do something else in the game. But yeah, we just, the online stuff I think really soured a lot of people because we just wanted to hang out with our mates. And then when you start getting glitches, again, grains of sand eventually make a heap, it all ends up becoming just a big shit show, and it tarnishes it. Doesn't mean to say, and I've said this since the start, there is a solid foundation here. But by God, half the buildings, like, condemned, right? And particularly if a particular game that you're after, that you've been excited to play, and you're finding like massive issues with it, right? Then you're gonna have a rough time with it, because like I said, this one, right? This one is the wrong version from what I played. Okay? It's the wrong version. It absolutely is. And I wish that we could get the version, at least down the track, of revision O, right? Just literally, like when you click play game or something, just or you know, maybe come in here and there's an option under here to change it from revision 1.1 to 1.0, and then it reboots the game into that version. That's it. Like simple. And I say simple because these guys have done a stellar job giving us ultimate access to all of these particular types of cheats that normally needed button inputs or were kind of obscure to get to. So I'm pretty sure it'd be very easy for them, and the ROM size is like kilobytes, if that, you know. So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. You know, I am very glad to see that Digital Eclipse are knuckling down and, you know, getting through this, because I want this to be great. So that way, good word of mouth spreads and people come back, or people that have been waiting go, yep, gonna pull the trigger now. And the people that do have it, such as myself, and are finding it somewhat disappointing, certain aspects, it'll actually alleviate those and go, okay, yeah, no, this is good. But it really does feel like it was kind of pushed out the door, you know, while the paint was still drying. You know, and it's bumping in and everything, and the paint's scraping off, and it's getting dings and dents and all sorts of shit. That's kind of how it feels. But yeah, but if you do have problems in the game, like actual issues, you know, that are problematic with the game, like bugs and glitches and all sorts of stuff, post them on the Digital Eclipse Discord. That way they can see it, they'll prioritize those, and that way they'll get them out faster, which is what we want. So that way we can get back into this and enjoying it the way most of us were probably thinking about when it was coming out. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. Catch you next time.